Welcome to Empowered by AI, the podcast for women entrepreneurs ready to harness AI to take their businesses to the next level. I'm your host, Michelle Muncie Silva, founder of Innovative AI Studios. You may have left corporate life to start this entrepreneurial journey, but you don't have to go it alone. Here, you'll find a supportive community of like-minded women and an invaluable thought partner each week, as my guests and I share actionable insights you can use right away. So let's dive in together. So today we have Myra Roldan with us. You have such an exciting collection of wisdom that I just cannot wait to share with everybody. I'm so glad you're with us. So welcome.
Thank you. Yeah, I think this is going to be fun. Thank you for having me on the podcast.
Oh, I'm happy to have you. Your background is where I want to start. I want to let everybody get to know a little bit more about you. And so if you could share, you have an extensive background in AI strategy, implementation, but what initially drew you into this field?
Yeah, I started off as a nurse in the early 90s. I'm going to date myself. And I was a nurse for about 10 years. And in that time, I worked in clinical research a lot and learned how to manipulate data, how to work with data. I got my computer science degree, moved into an engineering role, which at the time, it ended like the universe made it work for me because at the time that I finished school, they were starting to talk about nursing engineers. So like nurse engineers, like that crux between nursing and computers and computer engineering, because the ORs were starting to be, the computers making their way into the OR and new tech. And so there was this whole thing for nurse engineers. And I that worked to my advantage because I did get to work with some systems that were a little bit more advanced. But I made the transition into tech. And so I've been using machine learning for a while just because it's good for data. It's good to manipulate data. It was clunky. And if you don't know, machine learning is a subset of AI. So it's like the motor to AI because you need that data and the machine learning system to actually make things work. And so I would say that I always tell people I have 12 years in AI, but if you go back, machine learning was the crux before what we think of AI systems. So it was a lot of machine learning, a lot of just trying to figure out how to manipulate data. And then I started working in machine learning with some AI to build different things, a lot of it for my own use case to build a system that could work with a lot of complex data, a lot of information. I was a consultant for 7 years before I got recruited from Amazon. So I was recruited by Amazon. So I did 7 years as a consultant. I just did a 7-year stint with Amazon, and now I'm back to consulting. And in my prior consulting hat, I worked with a lot of companies. Like I worked with Sikorsky, Lockheed Martin, Microsoft, Cisco, just to name a few, Farmers Insurance. And I had different roles and different needs for that, for working with machine learning, and then made it into Amazon. And there I dove into cloud and AI and ML too. So you learn so much at such a fast speed when you're working in a big conglomerate like Amazon. I worked on the AWS side, which is Amazon Web Services. When I left Amazon, I had launched an AI ML program to train faculty on AI ML so they can teach it, so we can create new pipelines of students. And I had founded UnDesto in 2023, and I did a lot of market research around. I dabbled, right? I wasn't doing it hardcore. I was like boots to the grounds, but I was doing a lot of research around what are the pain points, because by that time, ChatGPT had rolled out in 2022 and everyone was losing their minds. And I had to figure out, like, where did I fit in with my background and my knowledge. And I found out that a lot of companies just struggle to understand, like, what it is, where you get started, and everyone wants it. And it's just an interesting time for me because now my mom says I'm popular now. So
You're popular.
I'm popular.
But I love that you bring up that history because I think it's really important for us, because I know this is so many of us. We're coming with these rich and diverse experiences. And we're walking into this entrepreneurial space a little bit owning our own selves, but a little bit fish out of water because we're coming from corporate, we're coming from industry. And sometimes the transition is such that you're like, okay, wait a minute, what does it look like from this view? What does it look like from this vantage point? Because my corporate life, there was always a predetermined mission, or there was always a set path to trudge through. And so as an entrepreneur, I think it's really important that we hear from other women who have been in that space and are now living the entrepreneurial life, because that question, how to answer it and how to find the best way to own both yourself and the new entrepreneurial journey. So thank you for sharing your history. I totally appreciate it. I don't think you dated yourself at all.
Yeah. It's always a balance though, because I think about like my journey, like before my first consulting life, I had worked in corporate for a long time, and I had stints like with energy companies. I was an IT department systems engineer for a large school district. I worked for IBM. I had different experiences. I think it's just knowing what your strengths are, knowing what your weaknesses are, and then working on your weaknesses, right? Not always finding a gig that plays on your strengths, but stretching yourself and learning new things along the way. I think that's always necessary.
I think it's fantastic that you said that. I literally just had an interview the other day where somebody said to me, I want to do something I'm not good at. I want to do something I'm not good at because I know I have a partner with AI that can help me fill those gaps and help me bridge some of my current weaknesses. So I love that you said that. And tell me about UnDesto. Tell me a little bit about that. What led to that?
Yeah. So I started UnDesto in 2023. I was still at Amazon. So I was just testing the waters, trying to see where the market was and what the need was. I dipped my toes half-heartedly, consulted with a few of my former customers, got to understand a lot of their pain points, and I knew there was a huge need, right? So I always think about the movie Robots, see a need, fill a need, right? And I was identifying the need, and I found like my wedge, right? Like the need is that there's no AI readiness. Executives at companies don't really understand what they're asking for. They're just like, we need AI for everything. And it's not a silver bullet. And where they're talking about AI, they're talking about generative AI. They're not talking about traditional AI, which the two have a place together.
Right.
Right. And one is cheaper than the other. And so I have an MBA also. So I have a computer science degree. I have an MBA. I also have a master's in education. So I'm like I just made sure, again, this is the whole crux of studying things you don't know about instead of continuing on a trajectory. And so the need is, the grass is green with us, which is super interesting. And so what we've done with UnDesto is we do everything from AI consulting to professional services. So consulting is when you help with strategy, you figure out like roadmaps, policies, where are you at, what do you want to do, and then making recommendations. And then our professional services arm can help with implementation and development and rollouts and change management. And we do everything from education to consulting too. We try to fill the holes where they are. So we have an AI academy, we do AI workshops, but then the whole consulting piece. And we've launched a channel partner program, which allows to think about that person who said they want to stretch themselves. Someone who has a consulting company and they want to add AI, they have a customer base and they want to add AI to their services, they can join our channel partner program, get some AI education with us, and have us as a partner to bring us to the table with when they have their AI customers and be able to make some extra money in the process, because now they're expanding their business to include AI without having to have the direct expertise, but we train them so they can at least speak to it from a business perspective. And so that's one way. And what's interesting is that right now, two of our channel partners, are female-owned businesses, which I love. They're relational psychologists who see see the green grass, right? Not saying that we won't work with male ran businesses, but it sings to my heart that they're women owned businesses. They're the first two that have onboarded with us, and we have a few more that are onboarding. And it just sings to my heart because they understand that they don't have to be the expert, that we will be right there with them, with their customers, so they keep their customer relationship, but they can still offer these services, which is cool. And plus they get training on AI. Yeah. So, and we've developed apps and we have this whole DIY product we're launching. So we're really trying to make it accessible.
Yeah, there's a lot of fantastic movement there and such a just fantastic work spirit where you're just empowering other women to be able to diversify their offerings as well.
Yeah, definitely. I think and it's not just about helping them diversify, but it's also helping them become AI savvy, right? Be able to talk the lingo to their customers. As a female in AI, Latinas make up 1% of AI professionals. That's pathetic. It's minuscule. It's just wrong. Women as a whole make up 20%, but they make it up not as consultants, but more of like program managers and supporting staff. And so I really want to change that paradigm by empowering women to be able to, if you already own a business, like you're already a boss, right? Let's boss you up some more. And I still get challenged all the time. It's just the nature of the world, right?
Yeah. And what does that look like to you? What does that look like for you
Getting
when you say
challenged.
you get challenged? Yeah. Tell me about that.
So I'll give you two most recent experiences I've had. Like the first one was just today. Not the first one, but one of them was early this morning. I received an email from a gentleman who felt wholeheartedly that given my background, I should be targeting nonprofits and not really playing with the big dogs because, yeah, very unsolicited. So that was the first one. And I fired back a thank you for your unsolicited advice. I appreciate you. I will return the favor now. And explained, because he was also like, I'd be willing to partner with you on a new dashboard I'm trying to create. I'm like, yeah, that's not the way you come at me, first of all.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. And then the second one was yesterday. We've been interviewing people for a account executive role. It's 100% commission. It's not for the weak at heart. We're really being really choosy, picking people who already have a network, who have experience in the industry. It's been interesting. So I had this one guy, he gets on camera with me and I asked, you're applying, you're interviewing for the sales executive role. Is that correct? Yes. You understand it's 100% commission. He says to me, yeah, I want to talk to you about that. That's not going to work for me. I'm in my 30s. I'm not like an intern or anything. And what kind of customers are you going after? And so I told him we're in life sciences, pharmaceuticals, we're in banking, regulated businesses, some government. And he's, yeah, that won't work for me. I'm like, I understand it's not for everyone. And so he tells me, I wish you the best I admire your ambition and I wish you the best in your little venture. And because AI is exploding. And so I said to him, yeah, I've been in the field for 12 years. I do understand that. And he immediately changed his tune. And I immediately was like, thank you so much. Good luck with your search.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
I think it's amazing that these microaggressions, if you will,
Yeah.
come towards women in this way. And I think it's really important that we call it out. That's why when you said you were I'm like, I want to know more about that. I want to call that out because I don't think you're alone in that. And I want to make transparent that there is a way that you can move forward powerfully with that. So I really appreciate you sharing that and sharing how you reacted to it as well, because I think that's a part of, unfortunately, doing business that we might have to tackle.
Yes. And so you have to grow thick skin. Like you can't fester on it afterwards. You really cannot fester on it after the events happen. And you also can't let it slide. You must say something. If I had not said anything, if I had not responded to the email or had not responded to that guy that was like, good luck on your little venture kind of deal, right? I always believed that I should have the mic drop moment. The gentleman that offered the unsolicited advice, I emailed him, have not heard a peep back. The guy on the interview, I was telling my head of operations, he is now going to be following our every move.
Mm-hmm.
He understood he stuck his foot in his mouth from the get-go.
Yep.
Without researching or understanding who we are, what we do. So you just have to go, you cannot fester on those, like you address it and then you just got to compartmentalize it, right? Because if you let it fester, it holds you back from moving forward because you get stuck, right?
It's their world that they're living in. You can't let it become a part of yours.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that you're coming from that place of power. I'm not ever going to relinquish my power. I'm going to tell you my reality and then say goodbye. Bye-bye.
Yeah. And you.
Yes, and I love that. That in and of itself, I think is a priceless lesson for all of us to hang on to. So I appreciate you sharing that. And also, I think we need to sit and stay with your expertise, right? We need to sit and stay with the fact that you specialize in developing AI readiness strategies for businesses. And I really am hopeful that you're willing to share some of your expertise. What are some of those key components of an effective AI readiness protocol?
Yeah, definitely. So we actually launched an AI readiness app, and I'm happy to share the link to it. It's free. You can try it out. But we evaluate organizations across 5 dimensions. So one, do they have leadership buy-in, right? Is the leadership on board with it? Is it leadership that's asking for it? If not, if you're a middle manager, have you spoken to your leadership about it? And are they on board? That's the first. The second is budget. AI is not free. AI is not cheap. Do not believe that you're going to go out. And this is a problem that pain point that we found with organizations is that they think that when they think of AI, they're thinking generative AI, they're thinking ChatGPT. So budget, because it's not just ChatGPT. It's not a silver bullet. There's different AI. Do you want internal? Do you need security? The second would be infrastructure. So your infrastructure, what kind of infrastructure do you have? Do you have servers on premise, computers on premise that hold all of your data? Is your organization operating in the cloud? What tools are you using? Who manages those tools? What kind of services are you using? Do you have a hybrid environment? And I know that for a lot of people, I may be speaking like Greek, but this is really important, understanding that. And so if you don't know and you're working for someone, you can find out, do we have computers on premise or is our data in the cloud? And sometimes they'll tell you, well, it's a blend. It depends. Men are very vague. Suss it out of them. So infrastructure. The second is this. So that's 3 or 4th is your data, right? Where does your data live right now? Is it on someone's laptop? Is it on a bunch of someone's laptops? Is it in a database? Is it in an Excel sheet? Is it an Airtable? Is it in a CRM? Is it, like your data doesn't live in one place. Understanding where your data lives, super important. And if it's living on someone's laptop, I, for the love of God, urge you to please ask people to put that into a repository where everyone can get access to the data. Because if laptops die and you can lose a ton of data if it is living on someone's laptop. And then, so those are the top 5 things that I would tell you for AI readiness. Then there's culture, there's training, there's a bunch of other stuff that go along with that.
And what does it look like if someone wants to work with you to develop their readiness to move forward with AI?
Yeah, so we do an intake. You can do our AI readiness app. We get a report, you get a report. We can do an intake meeting where we find out, what's your goal? What do you want to do? What are you looking to do? Understand that. And then all of our clients go through a paid discovery. So you have to pay for the discovery. We have pricing that is based on the type of business and size of business. So we'll do a discovery with you that can entail us interviewing key stakeholders in your organization. If you're a micro business, it's like talking to you and your team, figuring out what systems are you using. Is anyone currently using AI that you are not aware of? Do you have a policy around AI? Do you have a strategy? Is it tied to your business strategy? Are you just looking to slap AI on top of things and hope that things will get better? So we do a full analysis and then we give you a full report.
Mm-hmm.
Where you are, we make some recommendations as to what we recommend your like we identify the use cases that your team identified, and then we'll throw in some other use cases. We'll make recommendations as to this is a major pain point for everyone because we score it. We use a scoring system. We'll tell you this is the major pain point for everyone. This is something that you may have to address sooner than later. And it may be an AI related thing and it may not be. We have one customer that their problem is a culture problem, not an AI problem. So we can do change management. We have different workshops that we can do for teams. Like we're a Blanchard partner, so we can do SL2, which is situational leadership, to help managers learn how to manage their teams. We can do leading through change. We can do change management. We can equip managers with tools, training for middle managers, for executives, because sometimes the problem is not an AI problem. It's a leadership problem or a culture problem.
Okay. Yeah. And I know AI integration can feel so completely overwhelming. What's the first step an entrepreneur can take if they're just beginning to explore AI adoption?
Yeah. If you are, let's say you're like a solopreneur or a small business, we're talking like 5 people, and you want to use AI. If you're using ChatGPT and everyone has their own ChatGPT account, I highly recommend you move to a Teams account. Because even the $20 version, if you read the terms of service for any of the applications, it says they will not use your data to train their models. And they don't have to, because when you are doing queries and you're interacting with the model, you are training the model with your data. And so with the Teams account, you get a little bit more protection. It's a little bit more pricey, right? But you're paying for protection. If you have a larger organization, I can't tell you the number of enterprises that I've spoken to where there are people who are using their own versions of ChatGPT. So they'll email themselves their work and mail it back if the company doesn't have a policy, or they'll just fire it up on their computers because there's no blocker, there's no governance, there's nothing that says they can't. And so they're just using it on their own with no consequence. And so there's a risk to your reputation, there's a risk to your data, there's so many risks.
So it sounds to me like one of those first steps is just gaining awareness.
Yeah, learning what you're getting into.
And your latest book, I'm wondering how you see that kind of tying in here, because your latest book, The Curious Case of ChatterBoxGPT, love that title, just got released. What inspired you to write it? And I'm wondering who is that ideal audience, because you're taking a fictional take with this, right?
Yeah. I had a lot of fun writing it. It's a parable. I didn't want to write a dry technical book on AI. I wanted to write this for the masses, like CEOs, business professionals, my grandma, grandpa, kids. So I wanted to make it accessible. So what I did is I created a parable. And so in the story, there's this character. His name is Thaddeus Blandley. And it is based on stories that I've heard across all of the customers and people that I've spoken to. So Thaddeus goes to a conference. He learns about a new generative AI tool that's magic. And there's like this snake oil seller who convinces him that with 35 words or something like that, he can get all of his needs met with this tool. and buys a book for the low price of $99.99, right?
This sounds so
And
familiar.
yeah, so then he goes back to work and uses the tool, doesn't tell anyone, and then mayhem breaks out because there's a data breach, competitors gain access to the data, and it's about that whole chaos and how they recover from it, and then the lessons learned. Inside of the book, what I did is after each chapter, I put reflection questions in there. So you can reflect on the chapter, what the learnings are. There's some discussion questions. And then there's a apply section where you can, like, how does it translate into the real world?
Mm-hmm.
So super
I love
excited
it.
about it.
I
Yeah.
love it. I love it. I absolutely love it. And really, I love that you're bringing so much of a broad offering to the table, right? You're bringing books. You've written numerous books. You're bringing your services. You're bringing your trainings. You're bringing your AI readiness. And I think that it is so vital that you are taking such an active role in really helping people see what AI can be for their business. And I know that oftentimes the voices that are shaping AI are not always as diverse as we would like. And so I'm really wondering how you think we can ensure more women, such as yourself, more underrepresented groups can have a seat at the table for these conversations.
Yeah, that's so interesting. So I do this keynote where I talk about the seat at the table. It's the whole crux of it. And basically, my whole thing is if they don't give you like, you shouldn't wait for someone to give you a seat at the table. You should bring your own seat, right? And just be like, excuse me, I'm going to sit right here.
I love it.
Yeah, excuse me. They're not going to give you a seat at the table. I can tell you of times that I've been in meetings where I was the only woman in the room and all of the seats around the table were men, and there being one empty seat and me walking with a gentleman, and I took the seat and he looked at me like incredulous. No, like I'm taking the seat. You can sit back there in the seats against the wall. Right. So it's just, you have to bring your own seat. You just have to be bold and be like, I need a seat here. Be nosy. Most of us are really good at that eavesdropping. And that's one of our powers. Like, I always see that as a superpower. Like, I can be across the room. I can hear a conversation about two guys I have keywords that I'll hone in on. You know what I mean? And it's about bringing your own seat to the table. And if they don't want to let you sit at that table, then guess what? You pick up your seat and you take it to a different table. I had a mentor who was great. It was an old white guy. He was great. And he used to tell me, he doesn't relate to my experience, but he had a vast amount of experience. And he was the one who told me, listen, if someone says no, all you have to do is say, okay, next. And for him, it was so easy for him to tell me that, right? Because that was how he operates. That's his version of the world and how he operates in the world. And I remember thinking to myself, I can't do that. I can't be like, okay, next. But then I realized that I can.
Mm-hmm.
You just have to have the gumption, to be honest.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. You have to have that faith in self, right?
Yeah.
You have to have that.
It's thick skin.
Yeah. Yeah. In my house, it's like ganas. You gotta have the ganas, right? You gotta have
Yeah.
that desire, that drive, that belief in yourself as well. And is that really what you think is going to be one of the key steps that helps increase that engagement amongst diverse communities? Is that we need to really just be willing to say, okay, next.
Yeah, I think first we need to be willing to step up to the table,
Mm-hmm.
right? We need to be willing to walk into the room, right? I think a lot of times for women, we need to check all the boxes before we'll raise our hand. And I always tell women, you need to be just as bold as a mediocre white guy. Go in. They will go in, no shame. They will ask for what they want. They will pie in the sky. we're over here still checking boxes when we can run circles around them.
Yep.
Right. But we're too worried about what if they don't like me? What if I don't have this one little criteria, right? Oh, I don't know SQL, so I can't go in. Half of these guys don't know their noses from their elbows, but they will go and they will apply for the job.
Mm-hmm.
So being willing to walk into the room and take that risk is the first step. There are a lot of smart women out there who are just, the imposter syndrome is real and who are afraid of failing. And I always say you need to change the word fail into first attempt at learning. First attempt in learning, sorry. Fail is your first attempt in learning. And so you can't fail if you don't try. And then you need to celebrate your failure. If you failed miserable, like I remember I blew an interview at MTV to work in their IT department because I got starstruck. And I remember walking out of there thinking, oh my God, I failed that interview fabulously. Like it was such an epic fail because I got starstruck like a dummy and like my brain went blank. So I'm like, I at least walked in. I failed epically, right? And then I treated myself to like pizza and beer because I was like,
There you go.
epic fail.
Oh my gosh. But you were in the room and you were there and you did it. And the next time it wasn't that much of a scare.
Yeah. I just kept it going.
I love it. I love it. And if a solo entrepreneur, if somebody that is starting in this space, they want to start prepping for AI, you're such an experienced speaker. What do you think you would want that person to walk away with if they're hearing you speak?
I would say the key takeaway is that my journey is very different than your journey. We all have different life experiences and things that hold us back. But you have the power to write your page every day. Every day is a new day. And you can either wallow in the things that you're not good at and worry about that, or push forward and say, I'm going to learn something new today to add to my bucket to differentiate me. And I'm going to keep it going forward. I'm not going to let things drag me back because we tend to take 2 steps forward and 10 steps back, or we run in place. Put a plan together. What is it where do you want to be next year? I don't believe in vision boards. I believe in action plans. So where do you want to be next year? And then what are the steps that you need to take to be able to get there? So let's say you want to own your own consulting company next year and have some good like accounts. Okay, great. Where are you right now? Do you have any kind of certifications? Are you learning about things? Have you built things? Do you have a portfolio? Are you networking? Do you have connections? How do you leverage those connections? What are you going to do in your first 30 days from now? What are you going to do in your next 60 days? And what are you going to do in your next 90 days? And take it 30 days at a time. But have a plan that you're going to follow and stick to it. And get a mentor and find a sponsor. There are two different people. A mentor will help you when you're trying to figure things out. A sponsor will talk your name and talk about you and your skills in their networks when you're not around and recommend you for things when you're not around.
I love that distinction. That is powerful. That is awesome. I'm going to leave that right there because that is words of wisdom. What is next for you? You've given us so much value today. What is next for you? What do you have for upcoming initiatives, partnerships you're excited about, speaking engagements?
Yeah, so I'm speaking. Let me see. I'm at the Association of Talent Development the second week of February. I'm going to be speaking on AI. It's a huge national conference. From there, I go to DC to speak at the 100 Women of Finance. Nice little conference there. I have, let's see, what else is going on? We're going to be at the business show in Miami in May. That's a free event. So if you're in the area, I highly encourage everyone to attend. It's called the Business Show. Look it up. It's in Miami. If you're in Miami, you have a business and you're looking to scale your business, go there. I'm keynoting and I'm a vendor also at the Business Show. Yeah, I have a bunch of speaking engagements coming up, a bunch of keynotes. We're trying to update our website with all this stuff, but we have so many moving parts. Things are changing every day. We're launching our Blueprint Lab that's also going to have a community tied to it. It's going to be a subscription base. You can follow us at UnDesto AI to get more information or drop us a message on LinkedIn. You can drop me a message on LinkedIn. We have a webinar for She Is AI members in March. I think it's March 28th. It's free, so you can join that. I will make sure that you have that information for the show notes. We have a partner program webinar on the 11th of February coming up. Be free to register also. And we do check me out on TikTok. I'm always spilling the beans on stuff on TikTok.
You're still there. It's still sad.
It's still there for now. I'm at Learn with Myra on TikTok, but I do publish it to Instagram and to LinkedIn also.
Oh, I love it. I love it. And I so appreciate you sharing these pieces with all of us because I think it benefits all of us. I think women need to learn from and see other women in action. So thank you for being a part of that.
Yeah, definitely. And like I said, I hope that everyone takes advantage of the free stuff that we put out. We have a podcast we're always writing articles on LinkedIn. Be sure to follow us at UnDesto and follow my team because everyone does write different. We're always writing and always sharing.
And we are going to put the link to that webinar as well.
Yes.
That is fantastic. Thank you so much.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thank you for having me. This has been great. I hope everyone gets something from this, and I hope they connect with me on LinkedIn. You can find me under Myra Roldan.
Perfect. Thank you. Thank you for tuning in to Empowered by AI. If today's episode sparked ideas, don't wait. Follow the link in the show notes to visit innovativeaistudio.com and download your free resource, created to help you put today's insights into practice. Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss out on future episodes packed with more tips, tools, and inspiring stories. Until next time, stay empowered and keep innovating.